Alright. Alright, let's get into this. Turn on the music a little bit. Keep it in the background. I gotta have music in the background. I realize that's kind of important to have. Alright. So, a lot have actually happened in the past week. Obviously, we got the new Ahsoka episode. But there was also a Timothy Zahn interview where he actually talks about the Ahsoka show and talks about trying to get some new books out there. I'm trying to think which one I should talk about first. I would say I'd talk about the just the show. So I made that video. I think I uploaded it like a few hours ago. Let me turn it up a little bit more. It's kind of quiet. But so in that video I made, there was a line at the end. Actually, I can just show it. I was gonna actually, because people, I'm assuming no one's watched it yet, or not everyone's watched it yet. Still, no, I'll show it on stream so everyone's caught up. Real quick, I can't play the audio, but I can show the video. So good. No audio. So he's like, okay, I thought Ahsoka was dead because that's what she told him, but then she's like, well, I thought so too. But then he's like, well, Jedi can survive things like that. You get underestimated at Jedi when Jedi and Force users and witches always kind of get resurrected in some way. No one's ever really gone, as Luke said. Yeah, so I think this is setting up like a betrayal for Balin. Where Thrawn's gonna betray Balin and maybe perhaps leave him behind. He even said it earlier in the stream, or in the episode, where he's like, it doesn't matter if Balin and Shin find Ezra and kill them. It just matters if they get stranded. As long as they're here and they stay here, and he kind of leaves them behind. Which is, to be fair, it seems like they're okay with that, or at least Balin's okay with that. He's like, he kind of wants to stay here and see what's going on with this greater power thing, right? Which, I've been talking about for a long time, since the freaking I've been making these Thrawn books, where there's this greater power that's beyond Thrawn. There's just what is this greater power? And I think they're let's get into the retcon though. Let's get into the retcon. So he thinks Ahsoka's alive, or it's smart to think Ahsoka's alive, just to prepare, right? It's very smart of Thrawn to do that. But then there's something he says. Okay, here we go. This is the only line I need to talk about. I want to know her background, history, homeworld, her master, everything. Okay. I mean, obviously this is smart to do, right? It's smart for Thrawn to ask to look at all of her background, to prepare for the enemy. That's what he does. But here's the problem with this. He already knows who her master is. He should. So, and he's saying it in a way he doesn't even know who her master is, and he already does. Anakin already told Ahsoka, or I guess it was Padme, but Anakin and Padme already told Thrawn who his Padawan is, which is Ahsoka, right? He should already know this. And in that video, I talked about that. I already made a video like a month or two ago where I actually covered that that excerpt in the Thrawn Alliance novel where he kind of learns about Ahsoka, and I put that excerpt into my recent video. So if you haven't watched that, you should probably watch that. So it seems like they're kind of retconning something here where he doesn't know that Ahsoka is Anakin's Padawan, and I'm hoping it's not going in a direction where Thrawn just doesn't know who Anakin is at all. That would be terrible. I would retcon a whole book. That would make a whole book useless. I read it, and now it'll be pointless. So hopefully that's not the case. It's supposed to be canon. It's not Legends, so it's supposed to be important to the universe. So hopefully it's not a retcon. If it is, that would suck. But I mean, it already is a retcon, right? He should already know that, Ahsoka is Anakin's Padawan. He should already know that. He should know that already. So it already is a retcon. It's just not a huge retcon, because to be fair, that was one line of dialogue in the whole book. It wasn't very important to the story. It was just, Anakin talking about the maneuver that Ahsoka did in the Clone Wars, so it wasn't like a huge deal to the story. But if, let's say, Thrawn gets told that her master is Anakin, he needs to like actually have a reaction to that, like, oh, I know Anakin, or like, because for those who don't know, Anakin actually was like was very respected by Thrawn. Like Thrawn respected the heck out of Anakin, and he actually liked him. Like surprisingly, considering Anakin's like kind of wild and brute force, but Thrawn actually like respected Anakin a lot, and was kind of like sad to see what he became in as Vader, right? Because he also knows that Anakin turns to Vader, which is how I thought Baylan knew, right? Because Baylan knows Anakin became Vader, and it seems like Thrawn and Baylan, this is the first time they're meeting, right? At least this first time Baylan's meeting Thrawn. Thrawn seems to already know of Baylan because, I mean, he studied. You probably already heard like who Morgan's mercenaries are, and he probably heard, oh, Baylan. Let me do a little bit of research, and oh yeah, Baylan Skull from the Jedi Order. Yeah, that makes sense. But it seems they haven't met before, so I'm kind of confused on how Baylan knows Anakin became Vader. Maybe he was at the Jedi Temple, and he saw Anakin, freaking killing younglings and Jedi and all that fun stuff. All that fun stuff, yeah. And maybe that's how he found out. And he got out of there and went to the unknown regions or whatever. I don't know. So so that's really about it for like the retcons. There's a bit of a question I still have of why Thrawn is even bothering to like kill Ezra and Sabine. It seems like he's only setting up Baylan and Shin to do that, so like he can abandon them on this planet, on this in this galaxy, so he can go back to our galaxy, and because he already considers Baylan a liability, because Baylan kind of didn't know of Ahsoka surviving, and kind of Baylan kind of failed that, so that's probably why Thrawn it's funny because in Rebels, right? Thrawn is around. He's surrounded by incompetent leaders and Imperials, and he can't really do much about it. Like obviously the leaders he can't do much about, and there's some people like his subordinates where he's probably firing them left and right, to be honest. And then the ones that are still in his command kind of ruin his plans all the time, which sucked. So I think he's like, okay, well, Baylan already failed. He's out of here. He's already got Enoch. Enoch seems like a competent leader. From what I've seen, maybe he's just a Phasma type where he just friggin' dies immediately. That would suck. He's got a cool voice, so hopefully not. But that's about it for the episode. I want to get into the interview, which let me just split it up real quick. Let me I haven't streamed in a while. I gotta remember how to use this thing. Okay. Let me turn off the music because I don't think there should be music for the interview, just to be respectful to Zahn. All right, let's pull this up. I don't even know where I have it saved. Hold on. Yeah, let me keep playing the music until I get it up. Never mind, I can't do that. Lol, okay. It's in this PC. Shoot. Hold on, let me just I'll play the music again. While I find it. I'll just put it on my desktop. I was like, I had it in a folder, but I can't find it. I'll put it in my desktop. Alright. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Here's the interview. Kind of want to wait until more people come in. I'm gonna have it pause for now and just talk about the episode a bit more. So I actually really liked the episode. I thought it was probably one of the better ones. Probably my second favorite, which my favorite is episode 4, just because the tension was so good in the episode. Like the tension between Baylan and Ahsoka and that duel, I thought was amazing. The choreography was probably the best in that episode, even better than, in my opinion, episode 5 with Anakin. It was interesting learning about Baylan, like how what he thought about the Jedi, how they're kind of it was inevitable that they were going to kind of fail and be extinct perhaps, and that it's kind of a never-ending cycle which if you actually do your history, like you kind of study Star Wars, which I guess Balin did. If you studied the history of Star Wars, you kind of see that the Jedi kind of keep failing over and over again. Like I think from understanding, the Rakatan kind of take over, and like there's the Rakatan Empire, and there's this Empire, and then the sequels happen, which destroys the Jedi again. So it's like a never ending cycle, and that was interesting. Like Balin, I think I'm curious what this greater power is calling to him, and like what is that? Is that the Yuzan Vong? Is that Abeloth? What people are thinking now, which that would be dope. I love Abeloth. I mean, I don't know much about her. She just looks super cool. Well, let's actually get into the interview because some people are coming in. So this is an interview where Zahn is talking about the show. He talks about trying to write some more books for Thrawn, but he hasn't really gotten a greenlit. Let's get into it.
Very excited, especially when it's under Dave Filoni's tutelage. He's shown back in Rebels he understands Thrawn.
Okay. Yeah, so there's been several interviews where he kind of talks about how he kind of has faith in Dave Filoni and he understands the character, which I think Filoni gets a surface level version of Thrawn, where he's just genius tactician. He studies art to learn about his enemies. He's the smartest person in the room, which I thought Rebels did a good job of that. Thrawn, the only way to defeat Thrawn is to do something super unpredictable that he could never predict or prepare for, which freaking the Purrgil. But let's like there's some things in there I just don't like where he's like torturing Hera, or he's not. Oh, it's to be fair, he's not the one torturing her, but it's Price, and he just lets her do it. Like he doesn't torture people. He doesn't let people torture people. That's kind of ridiculous in my opinion. I don't know why. That was kind of silly.
Understands how to write for him, understands how you defeat him.
Yeah, you just gotta like
you give him something he can't control or something
you can't predict or control or prepare for.
No.
Like pretty much just weird Star Wars things like space whales and large force using gods like the Bendu, stuff like that. Hopefully, I don't know how they're gonna defeat Thrawn this time. Hopefully, he's got Night Sister magic on his side now, so he's got some advantages as well. And he's got I don't know how long he's gonna use Balin and Shin, but he's got some force users on his side as well. And he seems to have a good like military. I'm just gonna go on a whim and say Enoch is a very competent leader. He's a captain. He seems like the only real sentient like person there. Like I think all of the stormtroopers, or they're called night troopers. I think they're all undead. I think Enoch's the only one that's actually like not undead, because he's like commanding them. So he's got to be like a bit more special than just like a stormtrooper.
I would always be nervous about whether the writers bring him in would understand him enough to write properly. Filoni.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, what? Come on. I don't know who else has written Thrawn besides Timothy Zahn and Dave Filoni. I'm sure there's some. I haven't read all the Legends novels, so I'm sure there's some other ones out there that wrote Thrawn that he maybe didn't like.
He seems to have got it. So
all right,
I'm looking for.
Seems to have got it. I mean, I'll have to. My only problem with the episode was just that very last line. Like so far, I haven't like had a huge problem with him. I'm just like, the only other thing was like, why is Thrawn even bothering to go after Ezra and Sabine? Like they're kind of doing their own thing. Ezra hasn't seemed to like get involved at all. So let them do their own thing, and then just leave the planet and leave the galaxy, and they're just stuck here. You don't even have to bother killing them. Unless the idea is just to have Balin and Shin kind of abandoned here too, like so they can't get back to the other galaxy because I think Thrawn considers Balin a liability.
Forward to seeing what he's doing. I know a little bit of some of the new characters, some of the new dynamic. It's going to be interesting to see.
Once Ahsoka is finished, are you going to fill in the blanks? This is really I want to know about this.
I would like to do that. It's a big 9-year gap that I am aching to write novels in. So far, I've not been approached. So far, not been offered that.
Why though? Is it Filoni? Is he not letting him write? I don't want to like theorize on like why, but like, and people are gonna be like, well, he's on NDA, you can't talk about it. But like, if you see later in the interview, he gets very specific on like meetings he's had. He's saying things like that are very like, either he's a really good liar, or yeah, he just hasn't been approached.
And I don't know how much Dave wants to fill in of that on his own. On the other hand, no matter how tightly he fills in that 9 years, I know I can find good stories to tell in that. So whether he's got just vague ideas, whether he's got a month-by-month sort of thing, I will still be able to do good stories.
Yeah, he's got like, he could write like 20 novels in that 9-year gap if he wanted to. If he wanted to, of course. He could like just make it like 2 novels or 3.
Stories in it once they let me. But yeah, I am just championing to get that.
Yeah, I don't know why they haven't like reached out for it to him yet. Is it because like Filoni's like still unsure, or like is it because they're waiting for the show to end or the movie to start, or like I don't know? Is it a writer's strike? Is that a part of? I don't think that'll be a part of it. If anything, so with the writer's strike, you should like want Timothy Zahn to write all these novels now, since he's not a part of the Writers Guild, from my understanding. So he should be like #1 right now, because it should be like, oh, we have nothing to do. We just gotta write some novels, and everyone loves Timothy Zahn, like his novels. So like, give him to do something during the strike. I don't know why they're not using him. It's weird.
Someday.
Yeah, you've been talking for a while, because pre-pandemic Dragon Con, you were talking about wanting to tell that story.
Yeah.
So, I want to just touch on one character in the book. I adore Commander Keemend. Thrawn Alliances.
Okay, so they're actually talking about Thrawn Alliances here, right? Which is the one that got retconned, in my opinion. Like, I hope they're not retconning in like the whole book, but like the whole thing with Ahsoka, being Anakin's Padawan and Thrawn not doing that, even though in this book, explicitly, Thrawn knows of Ahsoka being Anakin's Padawan. Like, that's kind of a retcon. It is a retcon. Hopefully, they don't retcon the whole book where like Thrawn and Anakin meeting. That would be terrible.
Is my favorite workplace comedy with villains. And I'm not sure if you meant to write a comedy, but it's my favorite.
The comedy. I mean, there were some funny tidbits in there where like it was like Anakin and Thrawn just like kind of shouting at what Anakin was trying to say Thrawn's name correctly, Thrawn Naruto, and they kept on kind of like correcting each other, or kept on trying to say it correct. It was kind of funny.
Favorite Thrawn book. It's my favorite Star Wars book, and I just adore how you kind of just let the villains just kind of go on an absurd side adventure where bugs stick to Vader and he gets stuck to the floor, and Thrawn and Anakin are trying to alpha male each other.
Yeah, that is true. They're like trying to alpha male each other the whole book. It's like who? I mean, not exactly, but like just like who's the better balance tactician, right? It's kind of fun, and like you see Thrawn like studying Vader all the time, trying to like connect the dots that Vader actually is Anakin, and they always go back to the flashbacks where he's kind of doing the same thing, kind of studying Anakin's moves and then Vader's moves, and he sees the connection, right? And that's fun.
It's always tricky when you've got, how do you make something that the villain can't defeat, especially when it's somebody like Vader. Okay, he's got the Force, he's got a lightsaber. What can you do that can't anticipate and will have trouble with? And that was the attack bugs that splatter into a quick-drying, cement-like, rock-like thing. You just encase your opponent in that. Too many for you to push all of them away with the Force. Lightsaber won't do any good against a swarm of something. So that was okay, how do I come up with something that can stop even Vader? And then later in the book, how do I get Vader to counteract that? So that's always the challenge with a strong villain. Find something that he has to.
I'm trying to remember if there's anything else he talks about with the Ahsoka show. That's a funny pause, by the way.
Prize for the challenge. And that was my answer to that. It does sort of sound comedic, but if you were the one being turned into a statue, it wouldn't be as funny.
Oh yeah, but there are certain scenes in that, like with Keemend and Rook, that are almost straight from Monty Python, and I wasn't sure if that was intentional.
It was not intentional, but it was more of a, Kumend, for those who haven't read it, is the head of Vader's.
All right, let's move on. I don't have much commentary, so I'm just gonna like move on a little bit.
To protect Vader, to do what Vader wants the stormtroopers to do. And Rook, whose job is to protect Thrawn and his interests, they butt heads periodically. No, I'm not going to let you sneak aboard our ship. It was
now
not
it's like
intended to be
the sync's. Oh god, the sync's all ruined.
comedic,
God,
but there are certain
it's desynced. It's desynced. What happened? Whatever.
comedic aspects that just naturally come about.
Oh yeah.
And since they are both very good warriors, they want warriors on my ship because they're well connected and having.
I think a lot of people are afraid to make the villains funny, and that's what I really loved about that story. And I might be the only Commander Keenan fangirl in the world, but
Yeah, I'm like, who's Commander Keenan? I mean, I know who he is, but like, come on, who the heck is this guy? Come on. I'm more of a an Eli Vanto connoisseur myself, which everyone is, to be fair. So I'm not that special. I like Commander Pharaoh.
Anybody, it's fine to be funny
Or the
as
Commodore.
long as when
I'm a big
it's
fan.
time to do your job, you're really good at it. And he is.
Oh yeah.
Will you bring more legends to canon? I already know like he already talks about it's like it's just he brought in Thras from Legends. I didn't even know, like I never read that book where Thras was from in Legends, but like in Lesser Evil, which I've been reading right now, Thras is in that, and I got a little spoiled on like what Thras is supposed to mean to Thrawn, which sucks because I didn't know they're like kind of like brothers or something. I gotta read the book. I gotta finish the book to understand it fully though. So.
Obviously focusing on the chiss, but we had done the memories part in the first two, and for the third one, I believe that, yes, it becomes a strange hybrid. Some of the elements of the Thrawn trilogy possibly will become canon, depending on what Filoni does with.
Yeah, Filoni's gonna be really ill. Let's bring in the Vong. I know that Vong were in like Legends. From my understanding, someone can correct me, but the Vong come in after Thrawn gets defeated, right? And then they're coming from this different galaxy, like another one. They come into our galaxy, the Star Wars galaxy, and then they kind of cause chaos and havoc on the New Republic and the whole galaxy and Coruscant and all that. But that's after like Thrawn gets defeated, and I don't know if it's ever implied if the greater evil he was referring to was the Vong. If someone can confirm or deny that, kind of curious. That's why I think the Vong are going to be like the big evil, or like the greater power that Balin's talking about. But I'm not sure. It could be the Rakatan, it could be anyone really.
Ahsoka. So I got some of these foot over the line thing. But just to mention, remember that legends are the stories of King Arthur and Robin Hood and Paul Bunyan. They're the stories you tell around the campfire. And just because those books are now legends, doesn't mean they're still not enjoyable. People enjoy it.
You know what's funny? I think Legends is just like much better than canon. Like I've only read one Legends book, and it's just so much better than like a lot of the canon books I've heard about. Which is funny. I've only read the canon Thrawn novels, and I really like them. And it's written by a guy that's done Legends, so I'm guessing that's got to be a part of it. I've heard there's a lot of bad canon a lot of bad canon novels. So, and a lot of the Legends novels I've heard are like really good, and I think it's because they're more expansive on the lore, and like you can just do more fun stuff with that. Like the Vong, like in canon, it's a lot. The stakes are very low, and almost unimportant to the lore. Whereas in Legends, they there's like freaking pretty much Heir to the Empire, which is like the next chapter in Star Wars. It's like the next trilogy. It's like the sequel trilogy, pretty much like the original sequel trilogy. Whereas like in canon, we don't really have something like that, like in the books at least.
Like reading them, they're good stories, and people went into a big panic when that was first announced. But no, don't panic. The books are still good. You still enjoy them. Tell around the campfire while you're eating your s'mores, and this is all good.
Was it exciting to bring Thrawn into canon? No, I hated it. I don't know much about Thrawn. I've been reading him in the New Thrawn or in Lesser Evil, which it seems like Thrawn and Thrawn are good friends. So I don't want to get major. At least I don't want to get spoiled on like who this Thrawn character is too much.
His interview was
By the way,
very
if you want to
satisfying.
watch the video yourself, because I'm skipping some of it, it's called where's it at? Timothy Zahn on Thrawn, the Ahsoka series, Legends and More. It released like a week ago. It's a very new interview, like very, very recent. So a lot of stuff that's relevant, like the Ahsoka and like him making new books and stuff.
It was to the point where the last scene, which has to echo the ending of Outbound Flight, was a wrench.
No spoilers.
But yeah, it was enjoyable to bring him back and build that.
All right, talk about not Thrawn. Okay, here we go. Are there plans to do any more Ascendancy books with just characters like Aralani and Woodrow? I hope so. They're pretty cool characters. I think the answer is yes. It's just like it depends on the storyboard or the story group. Be like, hey. Yeah,
the moment we're having trouble getting story group, my editor, and me into the same time slots where we can discuss new books.
I don't know why. It's weird because like it's been like he said this like a year ago, like or maybe even longer than a year ago, and clearly no progress has been made. So I'm just kind of confused on why they haven't been able to talk. Like, come on, especially now with the writer strike. Like, don't they need like these book writers to actually do stuff now? Since like they're like the only ones that can actually write stuff. Like, everything's getting delayed. Like Andor's getting delayed. Acolyte might get delayed. Sheldon Crew is already confirmed to get delayed. The movies aren't being written at all, or it can't be because the writer strike and the actor strikes. So nothing's happening there. So it's really just the books that we can get for like once Ahsoka's done. All we're really getting is books. Like, or hopefully we're just getting books. So maybe once Ahsoka's done, then he'll get the call. Like, hey guy, hey Thrawn, or hey Thrawn, hey Zahn, hey Zahn, we got some books we'd like you to write. And he's like, how many? And they're like, 20. And they're like, yes.
Obviously, story group is.
And they're like, no, you're actually writing about this character named Glupshido, and this is from 10BBY, and it has nothing to do with Thrawn. And he's like, okay, damn.
Up to their eyeballs in other vetting material and everything. And the editor is working a lot the High Republic stuff for Star Wars. And
yeah, aren't there still like new like High Republic books coming out? Like, come on, you're telling me they are getting books, but like Zahn is just like kind of like, being left in. He's pretty much being like left on red. That's the vibe I'm getting. He's been left on red by story group.
I've got other projects and conventions and things. But definitely I'd like to do more Chiss. One of my thoughts was until I can write more of Thrawn in that 9-year gap, do what I call that pitches the Donut Thrawn, a Thrawn book with no Thrawn in it, which would be Arlani, Eli Vanto, probably Commodore Pharaoh, possibly going out into Danon, or we.
Why is this freaking stream like getting like it's getting desynced again?
And
but anyway, I'll let him finish what he's about to say.
The hook on that one was they run into the navy of Snoke and destroy it.
No, not the sequels. Ugh. Guys, what do you think about that? Should we be getting sequel trilogy content from Timothy Zahn? Should we be getting Snoke? He's just a clone. He's just a clone. Nothing really interesting to tell there, but maybe there is. Maybe Timothy Zahn's like the genius mastermind that can write. It's like a sequel-ish, something that's related to the sequels and make it good. Like, have you guys seen the Vader comics where like he goes to Exegol, and then like he's fighting this huge monster thing, and then Palpatine's like, I got 1 million Star Destroyers ready to go, and it's like, but how? How do you have like 1 million Star Destroyers ready to like that can destroy planets when like the Empire was barely able to fund a single Death Star. Because, like, for those who don't know, like, the Death Star cost a lot of money, it costs a lot of resources, and a lot of other projects, like Thrawn's Star Defender project or TIE Defender project, it gets abandoned and canceled because all of the resources are being diverted to the Death Star. But how can you do that when you're like creating 1,000 Star Destroyers that can blow up planets? Wouldn't that cost even more money than a single Death Star? And then, like, it doesn't make any sense. That's why I just don't care about the sequels, like the world building for it, because none of that makes sense.
Which is why in the sequels he has to go to the First Order and recruit them.
Huh? So, like, there's like I'm confused. So, like, Snoke's like, he's got like his own navy, and then once it gets defeated, he creates the First Order. Is it like Snoke creates, like, he's trying to create the Empire, and then it fails, and he's like, I'm just gonna rename it to the First Order. Interesting. I don't know what that means. Sounds like he could write it somewhat decently. So that's a step up from like whatever those Vader comics were about the sequels.
We've already destroyed his planned attack.
Oh, so like there was a plan for like Snoke to come into like the New Republic and like freaking just destroy everything, but Thrawn, or not even Thrawn, but like Admiral Ar'alani and like the Chiss kind of defeat Snoke. Interesting.
So
Not
far
really.
I've
I
not
don't
gotten
want that.
traction on that, but
Just, bro, you got the Grisk. Just write a Grisk story or the Vong. If I don't know, you got two cool species right there. Just do that instead. No, what did I do?
this is the way it works. But yeah, it was interesting. And the editor is working a lot the High Republic stuff. Do what I call I've got pitches the donut, possibly going out into the unknown regions, and the hook on that one was land attack. So far I have not gotten traction on that, but when I get a chance to pitch things, I will hopefully be able to pitch that one. You tell me an era, and I could probably write a good, fun story.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, even if they're like, hey, you can't write any Thrawn, dude can write like anything really. He can write, I don't know, he can do prequel trilogy, he can do the original trilogy, or like maybe in between episodes 3 and 4. Give him something. I don't really get why they can't give him anything to do, unless he's obviously on NDA. But like, he's really specific though. He's like talking about all these books he wants to write. So I don't get why you can't talk about. Well, I guess they don't want Disney to confirm it, but like, he's already very specific. Okay, I haven't been able to get a story group and my editor at the same time. Like, it sounds like he's being truthful about that.
Nothing is better or worse. I don't think. I like the classic era, which is the Imperial era. But I can go back and do Sith Jedi.
Yeah, do give him that. I don't know. Give him something.
The Sith Jedi conflicts and such in the old.
They could do the Old Republic. He could do the. Don't give him High Republic. They got their writers, and I've heard it's pretty mid. So don't give him that. I'm not gonna read it if he does that. To be honest, I think they already had like a specific amount of writers. They have like a writers group that does that already for the High Republic. So give him. And no one's doing the Old Republic. So hey, maybe he could do that. Or like he could do prequels and like write some politics stuff. Like maybe something about the Separatist. I like it. Like I think Zahn's really good like with politics, like in Star Wars and military.
Republic and that era. One of the thoughts I would also like to pitch is in the Ascendancy trilogy, we talk about the Skyflash, whatever the weapon is, that one-use weapon, and the story of how they got it, and that battle where the Chiss patriarch lost her two or three sons. Again, lots of Chiss stuff, lots of long history of Star Wars in the galaxy that could have stories written about them. So when they offer me one or when we get to talk, I will pitch them my ideas. They can tell me what they would like me to do, and we will find something I can do and enjoy.
I believe we are out of time, so thank you so
No, I think I missed something. There was something where he was talking. What was he talking about? How he was. There was something where he was consulted like very loosely about the show, which is I think is the biggest thing I want to talk about, but I couldn't. I guess I skipped
Something
it.
that he has to rise to the challenge. And that was my answer to that. It does sort of sound comedic, but if you were the one
Did I miss
being
it?
villains. And I'm not sure if you meant to write a comedy, but it's my intentional.
Comedy.
It was not intentional, but
Okay, I gotta find it real quick. Hold on. This is important. It's importante. I don't want to like miss it because that was like the biggest part of the interview, and I just kind of I guess I glanced over it. I gotta find it real quick. Here, let me put some music on. Where the hell is it? Why is that my stream breaking? My stream's breaking. Hold on. I can't find it for the life of me. I can't find it. It's the interview. If someone can find it, it's there. I'm gonna look for it after like the stream. I don't want to keep everyone waiting, so I'm just gonna like probably end it here and maybe do another stream where I find it or a video. But pretty much he's saying how he only knows a little bit about the show. Maybe it was at the very beginning. Hold on, I'm gonna give it one more shot. Maybe he talks about it at the very beginning and I just like went over my head. Hold on. All right, I found it. It was actually at the very beginning, and I guess I didn't mention it or something. Maybe I did, and I just forgot I mentioned it. Hold on. It was at the very beginning of the freaking interview, and I was like, I didn't talk about it.
Very excited, especially when it's under Dave Filoni's tutelage. He's shown back in Rebels, he understands Thrawn, understands how to write for him, understands how you defeat him. You give him something he can't control or something he doesn't know. I would always be nervous about whether the writers bring him in would understand him enough to write properly. Filoni seems to have got it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's doing. I know a little bit of some of the new characters, some of the new dynamic.
Okay. He knows a little bit about the new characters and dynamics. Okay.
It's going to be interesting to see.
Okay. That wasn't as bad as I thought. So he knows some of it. I guess he probably he's read the script. He just hasn't been on set. He hasn't seen it. He just has only read the script. From my understanding of that, which is not as bad. Obviously, I was hoping he would be on set and he could maybe talk to Lars Nicholson and Dave and about the character. But I guess he wasn't. Maybe he was on set and he was only there for a couple days. I don't know. I will be interested to watch the making of Ahsoka behind the scenes when that comes out. Maybe he was there. Maybe Maybe George was there. Who knows? That'll be a fun stream or a fun video to watch. But that's what I wanted to talk about. Just was Thrawn was there some retcons? Was how much was Timothy Zahn consulted early in the show? So you can make up your own decisions. Did they fumble the bag here? But the show's not over yet. There's 2 episodes left. We'll see what happens. I actually really like that the new episode. I know I've been talking about this retcon thing, but everything else I liked. It was just a couple nitpicks that I was I don't know about that, but it was a good episode. I thought it was really good. I think Lars Nicholson is killing it in the role. I think it's killing it. I think it was freaking great. But that's about it for the stream, everyone. Yeah. Episode 7's coming out. What day is today? Today's Sunday. It's already coming out in 2 days, and I swear to God, I've barely made any videos for this episode. I've just been so busy with school and work. And the only ever video I thought about making was Balin, talking about the greater power, but I've already kind of done that with the episode 4 where he talks about this greater power or this his motivation and Thrawn's plan. I've already talked about that. So I don't want to just make a duplicate video almost. But there's some stuff about his character, about the Jedi. I can make a video about, but I don't. If I don't do it today, I'm never gonna be able to do it because I'm busy all week again, and I'm gonna But yeah, that's enough rambling. Anyways, I'll see what I can do. But that's about it for the stream, everyone. If you want to watch the interview, again, it's called Timothy Zahn on Thrawn, the Ahsoka series, Legends and More. It's very recent, came out a week ago. But that's about it for the stream, everyone.